Hello, I'm Michael Marsh. Welcome to the program dedicated to reestablishing our constitutional republic. With me today is Marvin Sands, who is the 5th Congressional District candidate for House of Representatives. And every once in a while, you'll probably see my co-host, Camo. She likes to make an appearance every once in a while. Marvin, why are you running for Congress?
I filed to run as a minor party candidate so that I can talk about some issues that neither ruling party can talk about if they wish to win votes. Yeah. And that's, in our system, I think that's the role of a minor party, to raise issues. And one of those is this unconscionable war that we are still at. We're going to start the 18th year at war with the planet's 5th poorest country in a couple of weeks, and we don't even talk about it. So that's why I filed. And Oregon has a very good, we have ballot access in this state is very easy. So this is a very good opportunity to raise this issue about the war.
Yeah, Afghanistan, they should have to explain why we're still there. Although I understand Trump wants to pull out, but the generals don't want to. One thing that I've recommended, but nobody wants to go along with, okay, 80% of the world's heroin comes from Afghanistan. You could probably get a whole lot of volunteers out of the prison system to go over there and fight the Taliban for that heroin, a piece of that heroin action. Bring our troops home.
You know, I have the chart on, this chart is from the United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime. Yeah. And 93% of the planet's opium comes from Afghanistan. But it leaves Afghanistan as opium and is flown to processing centers where it is turned into heroin. Yeah. If you go on the DEA's website right now, they will tell you that only 4% of America's heroin comes from Southwest Asia, which is technically true because it leaves Southwest Asia as opium. Yeah. And is flown to France, Israel, Brazil, Mexico, the United States, where it is processed into heroin.
Yeah.
And we have an epidemic in Salem. It's the drug of choice because of the quality of high and the cost.
Now, if Kurt Schrader is reelected, and the Democrats take over power, the first thing they're going to do is impeach Trump. If you replace Kurt Schrader, how would you vote on that?
Oh, I think that's ridiculous. I mean, you know, I felt better when Trump won, and much better than if had Clinton of won. You know, when that guy said that he did not read, I shivered. I thought, my God, we're going to have a president who gets his information from the television. That scared me. Yeah. But he is bombing a third of the number of bombing strikes that the Obama administration has been pursuing since 2013. And that information comes from a site called airwars.org. They monitor the bombing casualties, the number of strikes conducted by the United States and NATO. And the bombing it's about a third. I started watching the number on January 21st. I looked at the number, looked at it every day, and about April, the number began to drop. And today, if you look at airwars.org, the strikes are about 1/3. So I draw the line at murdering children. That's why I have this. This is my platform, and this is above my name.
Yeah.
This is why I'm running. I want to give some of my fellow District 5 voters an option to vote for a peace candidate. But I would not vote to impeach Trump at all. I think that's ridiculous. You know, mature people accept mistakes when they make them.
Yeah.
If we think we made a mistake,
I
hey,
made a couple in my lifetime.
Yep. You bite the bullet and go on.
Yeah.
I don't think it's, you know, the mistake was when the Democrats stole the nomination from Bernie Sanders. Had that not happened, Bernie Sanders would be the president of the United States today. That was the mistake, was to steal that nomination from Bernie Sanders.
Yeah. I mean, bad enough the Democrats nominated the gangster, but they nominated a gangster without any personality.
Yep. The Democratic Party, they have become our new neocons. You know, the Republicans were the war party in the Bush years, and you know, before that, PNAC, the Wolfowitz, Pearl, Chertoff, Rumsfeld, those criminals. But they have been replaced. The Democrats have now become our neocons, and I'm more afraid of those people than I am the morally superior. When people think that they can tell us, that frightens me more than anything. And Oregon, we're an independent, strong, self-directed state of entrepreneurs and small business people, and actually, I'm kind of proud to be a candidate for District 5.
Well, all of Oregon is that way except for Portland. Yeah, that's the exception. That's why I decided to run up there. My name's just on the ballot. Let people have a choice. Yeah. There's, and it came out, during the 2016 election, the Democrat Party and the Bush-Rockefeller wing of the Republican Party. They're the same thing. They're allies. Yeah. And I was telling people during the election, I said, if you elect Clinton, ever since then George H.W. Bush will have been president for close to 30 years, because it's all been one administration.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And we've been at war. We've been at war. This is kind of the 240 years that the United States has existed. We have been at war 226 of those years. Wow. And 4 of the years we've been at peace were during the Clinton administration, which kind of surprised me. If you look up the list of America's wars, there are several on there that I'd never heard of. The Banana Wars that went on for 40 or 50 years that I didn't even know about. And that's one of our problems with immigration now. We rape those economies of Central America, and why are the taxpayers of Oregon assuming this immigration problem? Why doesn't Chiquita Banana Corporation or Cromwell Law, who were instrumental in the rape of those Central American countries, why aren't they sharing some of this expense that we are now accepting? So,
well, I think there's a little more to it than that. I think the Democrat Party and, like I said, the Bush-Rockefeller wing of the Republican Party, it's all one thing. They've got a chance. The Democrats pretty open about, why they're letting foreign criminals come here to rape, rob, and murder people. They say, no border, no wall, no USA at all. And they're trying to bring the U.S. down, and create a global corporate state?
Well, I have, in the first place, I think all are created equal. No matter which side of the river you're on, which side of the fence you're on, all are created equal. And if you are in our borders, you are entitled to due process. Now, our justice system is overwhelmed with over 20 million people who are in this country without that are illegally in this country, and I don't blame those people. I mean, I would
too.
Climb the wall too. Our Congress has pushed their responsibility onto the justice system, onto the administration. The Congress has a responsibility to create laws that the justice system can administer. And to answer the problem with a wall instead of legislation is, I mean,
But you mentioned the justice system. That's one of the problems right there is for too long now, judges have been deciding for themselves what the law is instead of what Congress passed or what the Constitution says. A good example of that is the struggle over Brett Kavanaugh that's going on right now. Now, Alexander Hamilton in the Federalist Papers said that the judicial branch of the government was the least harmful because they didn't really have any power to impose their will on people. But they have been imposing their will. And the Democrats have been using the court system to get through things that they couldn't get through the people. Couldn't convince the people to go along with, so they used the courts.
well, I wouldn't blame the judicial system. There's a vacuum created by the Congress has abdicated their responsibility. So that creates a vacuum, and the executive branch of the federal government has to fill the vacuum, or the judicial branch has to fill that vacuum. But I don't blame those two branches of government. Our representatives are not doing their job, and they're not doing their job because they are bought and paid for. 96% of our Congress is going to return after the November 6th election. The only way they leave is the death or resign or a sexual scandal. That's the only way you get out of the U.S. Congress. They are bought. They are bought by the oil industry, by pharma, by foreign governments are buying our Congress. The media is one of the largest contributors now to congressional campaigns. I mean, and then the Citizens United had just devastated representative government in this country. And how long, Citizens United, I think that passed in the late 90s. I'm not sure now, but why don't we address that? Why don't the voters of District 5 demand that be addressed? You know, it goes on year after election after election after election, is bought by corporate interests. I don't know what the answer is. You know, we have abdicated discussion of these topics to the media. We don't talk about these things among ourselves, which is really the heart of it. This conversation we're having it's unusual. This only occurs for a couple of months during the election season. The rest of the year, we let the media discuss these grave issues that we have in our political process. And the media, you cannot trust them. You know, the Smith-Munn Modernization Act passed in 2012, went through Congress in 2 months, passed into law legalizes propaganda by the media. They cannot be held accountable for lying. In 2013, the National Defense Authorization Act made it legal for the Pentagon to propagandize the American public. And when they had that debate in 2013, they said, well, don't worry about it. We didn't fund it.
Yeah.
Then the NDAA Act passed in 2016 funded propaganda by the Pentagon. So we are being lied to every day on the news. And I tell you, this censorship thing that happened this summer when they shut down all those YouTube channels, and I mean, there's something. The First Amendment is, the people say, well, it's under assault. No, I think it's been gone. I think the First Amendment is, and the First Amendment that identifies free speech and protects America's press, that is gone. They are now protected from lying. So our Congress has to step up and address these grave issues, this assault on the Bill of Rights.
Yeah, I kind of enjoy Trump's speeches because he always mentions the fake press, and they are.
Fake is too. He's being too charitable. They're beyond fake. They're outright lying. They're propagandizing the American electorate.
Yeah.
And I don't blame them. I blame. We've lost the ability for critical thought. And that's. Yeah. I don't blame them at all. The humans, we have this cannibal instinct. Somehow way we can take advantage of one another and do these vicious things to one another. Martin Luther King said that the fault is not with the evil people. They have always been with us. They will always be with us. Those that we should blame are the silence of the good people. That is the real crime. So that's why I filed to run. I'm not going to be silent about this horrific, this carnage in the Middle East. How can we tolerate this? The children that are 90% of the casualties in these wars are innocent people, and it just goes on and on and on.
You mentioned Americans are losing the ability to think critically. And a lot of that has to do with our university system and our schools. The brainwashing institutions, and anybody you disagree with is a Nazi and wants to murder millions of people. But both universities get government money and the schools get government money. Should the government continue with the paying out to these organizations, to the education system, at least at the federal level?
I don't know what to do about that. That is, we have had in the last since the first invasion of Iraq, why our institutions of higher education don't address America's foreign policy. They have, I think they're bought and paid for. These professors, these full professors make a six-figure income. And I think if you speak out against the war, I think you lose your job. I know that happens in the media. No one speaks out against the American foreign policy in the media. If they do, they go away. They're off the TV, off the radio. And I think the same thing is happening in our, and I have a 10-year-old, he'll be 10 in November. He goes to a small school, and, they don't like to talk about controversial. They have to, because the parents will, no, you can't talk about that, you can't talk about that. There's so many things we can't talk about. It's, you can't talk about evolution, one way or the other. It's too controversial. You can't talk about abortion. It's too controversial one way or the other. Although people ask me about it all the time. It's something people are very much concerned about. The Bill of Rights? No, you can't talk about that either. That's too controversial. Yeah.
So, speaking of one of those controversial issues, one of the things we're going to be voting on in November is whether the government should use our money, take our money and taxes, which is, robbery, and then give it to pay for abortion. And at the federal level, they give money to about $600 million a year to Planned Parenthood. Do you think, where do you stand on not abortion itself, but on the use of tax money for it?
Well, personally, I think a person who is opposed morally to abortion should be able to deny their tax money goes to abortion. On the other hand, I don't like government getting involved in the decision, a woman's decision about whether to carry her child to term. Personally, I think human life begins somewhere at conception and the first maybe 2 or 3 weeks. Yeah. There may be a period in there where the life form is so basic that it has not acquired the human characteristics. But it's not my decision. I'm a man, and I will support the decision, a woman's decision. Whatever she decides, that is her responsibility. It's her decision. But if you say, I don't want to pay.
Yeah, I don't.
And, I think if we took that approach to abortion, perhaps then we could take that approach to this.
Yeah.
I don't want my tax money going to killing these Middle East children. Maybe we'll start sending 50-year-olds to fight our wars.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll start asking them to pay and let us not pay. Anyway, the wealthy people want to carry on wars, let them pay for it and let them find the soldiers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And same with the abortion. Bill Gates and all these, Madonna, all these billionaires, let them pay for it. Why am I paying for it?
Yeah. Yeah, it's... But Mike, it would be so healthy for this political body politic to have discussion about that, about morality. What is it to support abortion or to not support abortion? This drives me crazy. Talking about the Kavanaugh decision, they talk about the Roe versus Wade, but they don't talk about what Roe versus Wade actually was.
Yeah.
That vote was 7-2. Now, to reverse Roe versus Wade is not going to legalize.
No.
I mean, it's not going to take away a woman's right for abortion. That was a different issue. And the vote was 7-2. So if you take one judge who's opposed to abortion on moral grounds and will vote against abortion, now you're at 6-3. Now you need another judge. Now you're at 5-4. Now you need another judge to get to 4-5. So but they never talk about the vote or what Roe versus Wade really was, because they want to use the issue of abortion to throw mud at each other.
Yeah.
And that's
And raise money on both sides.
exactly, and
There's a
raise
lot.
money on both sides. So I think it's a healthy discussion to have, because we talk about morality, we talk about spirituality, we talk about health, how to wisely spend tax dollars. It's a very healthy discussion for us to have.
I think we need to have it discussed. I mean, the Kavanaugh hearings where the people are yelling and screaming and everything, that's not having a conversation.
That's right. We decide things on emotion now instead of, critical thought is. It has not been part of our political process for a long time now.
Unfortunately.
Yeah.
Okay, we've got a little over 2 minutes left. Anything that we haven't talked about that you want to make sure that people know?
Well, the vote. We've got to find some way to encourage participation. Less than a fifth of the voters are going to decide this District 5 U.S. House. There are 550,000 voters in this district, and only a third of them are going to cast a vote.
Ouch.
So, that gets the number way down, and it gives it a disproportionate power to those who participate, a disproportionate vote to the money, and you're going to see about, our ballots will be mailed out, I think, 2 or 3 weeks before the election. During that week, the electorate will be flooded with negative campaign. I don't know whether Schrader will be accused of some sexual, he's a nice guy, but I wonder if he will be attacked with some kind of an ugly mailer.
Democrats don't seem to care about that stuff when it's their people being charged. I mean, look at Bill Clinton. All the women that said, "Hey, he raped me." And the Democrats say, "Let's move on."
But it works. It works. These smearing tactics around sexuality, the smearing tactics around corruption. You can smear somebody with now we're smearing people with being white.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're
or being a man.
Yep.
And if you're both like we are, you're in real trouble.
Yep. I'm not getting much support from my party because I'm older and white and male.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy.
It is.
So somehow, but please vote. Whatever
Definitely.
you do, return your ballot, please.
Yeah. Whoever you vote for, do vote because it is important.
Yeah.
And we are out of time. Thanks for coming on, Marvin.
Yeah, good. Thanks, Mike.